Entrepreneurs, do you wish you could make more money and more impact without getting so burnt out? If so, I have something for you. This is a talk I gave to 400 location-independent entrepreneurs at a conference in Thailand. You're going to learn 3 key steps: how to audit your schedule, the only 3 things that should be in your life, and the perfect repeatable day method. Here it is.
You're probably going to leave Bangkok with your head buzzing full of ideas. This talk is going to make sure you can actually fit in the stuff that's going to make you rich and happy. Who wants to be rich and happy? So you might be wondering, who's this chick? So here's a little bit about me. My name's Jodie Cook, and I get a lot of shit done. I started an agency straight out of college, built it up, and sold it last year for 7 figures. I write a lot about entrepreneurs and the entrepreneur mindset. I have a column in Forbes that some of you have been in. I've written 20 books, including 10-year career, the newest one, and also the best one. I compete in powerlifting, including for Great Britain and England, and I started living the full nomad life since exiting. So the main question I get asked, other than how do I get featured in Forbes and how much can you deadlift, is how do you get so much shit done? And at first I was like, what do you mean? It's easy, I just do it. And then I realized that these people asking the question wanted specifics. They wanted the methods and the secrets. So I thought about it a bit more, and I realized that there are 3 things that I do that not everyone else does, that pretty much explain how. So that's what today is all about. So this session is in 3 parts. After each one, can I get an ooh? So number 1, audit your schedule. Number 2, the only 3 things. And number 3, your perfect repeatable day. Oh, that was beautiful. With these tools, I believe that you can get a lot of shit done and be world class at what you do. Definitely in 1, but maybe in 2 or 3 areas of your life and work. What we're trying to avoid is just being mediocre at a bunch of different things, because no one wants that. So during this session, I ask that you give yourself permission to indulge in your life and prioritize you, because we do not do this enough. So we're going to get started with audit your schedule. Does any of this sound familiar? You have too much work to do, so you look to hire more people or start using more software. You want to make more money, so you start working with new suppliers on new channels, or you add more products. You feel overwhelmed, so you start booking massages and yoga retreats. Or you feel sad, so you go shopping and you buy more stuff. What do you notice about all of these things? We're trying to solve them by adding something. In fact, this is a bias that we all fall for. Addition bias. What this means is that when we have a problem, our tendency is to add. We add resources, rules, habits, responsibilities. Sometimes these things can be the answer, but addition shouldn't be our default response. Just adding something doesn't make the problem go away. New marketing channels need monitoring. A new fitness routine comes with travel time. New team members need training. I once worked with a guy who had 7 VAs. Every time one got full, he just added a new one. Every single one needed bringing up to speed. He didn't ever stop to ask himself the question, why the hell do I need 7 VAs? So we need to stop adding. But what's the alternative? We need to subtract. So here's a simple exercise. Take a blank piece of paper and draw 2 lines so you have 4 boxes. Label these boxes stop, start, less, and more, and perform an audit of your schedule. So for this exercise, I want to completely forget about start and more. Look at a regular week through a super critical lens. What can you stop doing and what can you do less of? 3 of the biggest and most obvious things that people waste their lives doing are reading the news, watching Netflix, and scrolling social media. But there will be others that are specific to you. Think about commitments, obligations, and responsibilities. What have you said yes to that you're still doing? You said yes to it a long time ago, but you're still doing it without fail. What have you outgrown? What do you feel like you should do? Maybe specific WhatsApp groups, people, traditions, journeys, bookings. Stop them or do them less. Then there's things that we don't really want to do that other people could do. So here's where it gets kind of nuanced, because we don't want to do those things, but we still want the outcome. I don't want to clean my house, but I want a clean house. I don't want to cook good food, but I want to eat good food. I don't want to book my trips, but I want my trips booked. A wise man once said, "We are the new rich, let's act like it." But I want to take this one step further. I want to say, if you don't have a content assistant, you are the content assistant. If you don't have a chef, you are the chef. If you don't have a cleaner, yes. If you saw these on Dynamite Jobs, content assistant, chef, cleaner, 2 hours a week, this hourly rate, you would not apply for them. Yet how many of us are doing these exact same jobs in our own lives? We are doing things far below our potential, and it's bullshit. What is it? So stop, start, less, more, and forget about start and more. Just think about what you can subtract and keep going until you're doing things that only you can do. Even when we've audited our schedule, the one thing that will still get in the way of having more blank space in our calendar is not having strong boundaries. Other people will try and fill your schedule with their priorities, and we have to not let them do this. We have to get comfy with saying, "I'm not doing that." And there are 2 main reasons for this. One, there is massive opportunity cost to doing things you don't want to do. Huge. And 2, you can often be just as kind to someone without doing the thing that they want you to do. So for example, you can send a driver instead of picking someone up. If someone wants a call with you, get them to voice note you first to see if you can actually help them. You can offer a different way of supporting someone than a half an hour of them picking your brains. Send them a how-to page or link them an FAQ document. Top tip. You can help someone become more resourceful by just responding slower. Over time, they stop asking you things that they could Google. I'm not doing that, so we're going to practice this together. So we're going to all say this together on the count of 3. I want your most assertive, definite, booming voice. 1, 2, 3. Cool. So we have audited our schedule and subtracted. We've removed and reduced what we do, and we are enforcing our boundaries. So now what do? There are only 3 things that should be in your life. The first is your profession. So this is your work. This is how you make money or how you make impact, or both, whatever you're optimizing for. But in order to actually get shit done, we have to do the things that only we can do. So this is you as the CEO or you as the artist. Your profession doesn't include the things that anyone could do or the things that don't actually make the boat go faster. So pointless meetings, admin, setting up, scheduling, or just doing things beneath your ability do not form part of your profession and shouldn't be done by you at all. Next is your obsession. So this is the main thing you do outside your profession. This is something you're obsessed with, that you're trying to get as good as possible at. Maybe your obsession is a serious sport or hobby. Maybe it's gaming or your kids, or it's reading books. What do you love doing that you find flow when you're doing? That is your obsession. So your profession and your obsession shouldn't be the same thing, and I'll explain why in a moment. So finally, we've got decompression. So this is basically relaxing, but relaxing didn't rhyme with profession and obsession. Sometimes we can feel like we're relaxing because we're not doing our work or training, but decompression should be intentional. Intentionally switching off, intentionally recharging. Decompression is not running errands. It's not shopping or organizing or tidying up. It's not just being busy doing stuff that doesn't actually matter. So to actually get shit done, we have to define our profession, our obsession, and our decompression. For most people, this is a Venn diagram, and there are areas of crossover in between the three. But what I'm saying is these areas of crossover are to be avoided at all costs, because in these areas, no one wins. So instead of going deep into a work project, you're messaging on WhatsApp and thinking about that afternoon's training session. In between sets of deadlift, you're playing on Tinder and watching reels. You're relaxing, reading a book with your emails open, just in case. Flitting between profession, obsession, and decompression is not the plan. Neither is doing anything that doesn't fit into one of these three. Everyone loses when we multitask, and we need to stop doing it. Multitasking is for losers. Who's it for? Yes. And it's a waste of everyone's time. The main reason is because of this amazing feature of your brain that you might not even know you have. Your default mode network is how your mind processes information. It's processing all the information it takes in consciously and subconsciously, and it does this when you're not actively thinking about it. Your default mode network is the reason you have great ideas in the shower, or the answer to a huge problem right before you go to sleep. It's responsible for those aha moments that you get hours or maybe even days after a great conversation or hearing a new concept. Your subconscious mind is far more powerful than your conscious mind. For me, switching off to my profession when I'm doing my obsession, which is training for powerlifting, means that when I arrive at my laptop, the answers just seem to find me. They just seem to arrive. But if something is always in your conscious mind, it never gets a chance to be in your subconscious mind, so your thinking is limited. Defining and separating profession, obsession, and decompression means our subconscious mind is doing more for us. If there is just one thing that you take away from this entire talk, make it this. Your subconscious mind is more powerful than you know. Let it do its thing. It can give you superpowers. So far, we have created space by subtracting. We've defined the only three things that should be in our lives. We are guarding the space between them, which means no blurred lines and no multitasking, so our default mode network can kick in and be whirring away when we don't even realize. This is part 3, where we get practical with how we spend our days getting stuff done. Imagine you have to live most of your days with the exact same structure, but it can include anything you want. The main thing is that this perfect repeatable day becomes your default. It takes decision-making away and means that you're actually doing the stuff that matters. So think about your perfect repeatable day in terms of your profession, your obsession, and your decompression, because these are your immovable pillars, and these should form the basis of your day. For people in jobs, their day looks like this. They have no real choice in the matter, but we're entrepreneurs. We can do whatever we want. Most people prioritize their schedule, but we're going to schedule our priorities. So think of this as playing Tetris with your pillars, and put your first pillar in. So for me, my obsession happens at these times every day. It makes the most sense at these times. It means I can do deep work in the morning. It means I don't have to share the gym with the before or after work crowd. And it makes the most sense with when I want to eat. A friend is optimizing for chilling out, meditating, journaling, soul searching. So he's putting his decompression pillar in first, and it's going in here, in between deep work in the morning and CEO work in the afternoon. Block your time with these chunks. So today's best guess at your perfect repeatable day might not be exactly right, but the idea is that you test it out and iterate. If you don't create a perfect repeatable day, you'll do whatever happens to grab your attention or come through your inbox, or worse, whatever happens to be in your calendar, which someone else might have put it in. Without a perfect repeatable day, unimportant stuff takes over, things get squeezed in, your time is hijacked by other people, and there's just no space left to do what matters. So it's up to us to protect these chunks. Having a default schedule also removes the need to make decisions. Decision fatigue is so real, but knowing what you're going to do and when takes that out of the equation. So you probably don't want to run your default day 365 days a year. You want adventure days and days off. But getting shit done takes months and years. So what you need is a sustainable cadence. For people in jobs, their cadence is 5-2. For 5 days, they run their default day, and then they have 2 days off. This is known as a weekend. But that weekday, weekend pattern might not be right for you. It might not match your energy levels. It might not match how you want to spend your life. We're entrepreneurs. We can choose whatever cadence we want. So if you still want a 7-day cycle, yours might be 4 perfect repeatable days and 3 days off, aka not getting shit done days. Or maybe you want to do 1 week on, 1 week off. You could do 1 day on, 1 day off. It doesn't really matter. The point is that your default day runs for a certain number of days, and then your adventure days happen. There will be a perfect formula in there for you. Sometimes when I talk about this, people say, "Oh, it's so structured. I'm creative. I'm spontaneous. I need to flow freely and be naked," or whatever. But there are plenty of starving artists out there. The goal is to be an artist who actually makes money. As another wise man once said, discipline equals freedom. Carving out time for creativity, putting your default mode network to work is how to get your art done and make a killing too. When I started my agency and I was building a team, I would make myself available to them at all times. Whenever they had a question, I would be there. But over time, I realized that being too available was worse than being unavailable. When I was too available, no one had the chance to figure stuff out for themselves. They didn't become resourceful because they just didn't need to. It's not just your team, it's your clients too. How many of us are too available for our clients? They can click their fingers and just get hold of us at any point. But this whole thing falls apart if someone can just grab you for 5 minutes, or if you answer your phone whenever it rings. My solution was having office hours when the team and clients could contact me. Outside these hours, they knew I wouldn't respond. But creating these boundaries means fighting your ego. You have to fight your worried mind and fight the what-ifs, because the upside is so worth it. It means you get a resourceful team that finds a way forward, uninterrupted time of your own, more headspace, and generally more out of your day because you're not flitting around doing everything. So a big thing that people say to me here is, but what if there's an emergency? In reality, there are very few emergencies. And by emergency, I mean it's urgent, and it's important, and it needs you specifically. Once, when I was overseas and unavailable, we had all our computers stolen from our office. Another time, the building caught fire. Both of these times, other people did what they needed to do, and I simply got an update. No one is too important for airplane mode, and having it on really, really matters for your profession, your obsession, and your decompression. Being unavailable is a really good thing. So in summary, actually get shit done by auditing your schedule and subtracting. Define the only 3 things that should be in your day and put them back into your perfect repeatable day within a structure that becomes your default. Then decide how many days in a row you will run this structure for. Then you have to fiercely guard your time and boundaries because no one else on the planet cares about the structure of your day. They'll just ask you whatever they want, whenever they want it, and that is the opposite of what you want. So at first, this is just an experiment. So try a few weeks at a time, see how you feel. See what you love, notice when you get distracted, make edits, and go again. If you can make this default a habit, it removes the need for willpower. When that happens, you'll be wired perfectly to get shit done. I promise you, it will be easier to get shit done than to not get shit done. Everything I've talked about, including all the slides, downloads, worksheets, and bonus resources, is at jodiecook.com/DCBKK. Thank you.